Yeah, that's Tony's audio. All right, hey folks out there, how about just a little bit of etiquette? Number one, we're streaming to YouTube, so please don't say anything that you wouldn't want anyone on YouTube to hear. Number two, please mute your audio until such time as you have something to contribute, and then please unmute yourself and pipe right up. And if you wouldn't mind, in the upper right, please change from gallery view to speaker view. That way I stay right in your view screen. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Guys, it's going to be wacky. Everyone getting themselves muted audio-wise? Looks like we're almost there. All right. For those of you who don't know me personally, there's some of you out there. My name is Joe Rauen. I'm an artist and a musician, and the main thing I do is I make fully functional musical instruments out of objects that have some other purpose. So tennis rackets, brooms, hockey sticks, canes, household plumbing, things that I garbage pick or are given to me or that I find, or existing musical instruments that I take apart and then reassemble with other musical instruments. Basically all items that have some other purpose in the world that get kind of a live action remix into some other object, and then we see what that can do musically. So that's what tonight is about. I'm coming to you from my workshop where I have all of these instruments that I've made and some other ones that you can't see. So what I'd really love is if you guys could chime in with either your questions or even better, your suggestions or your dares. If you see something in here that you'd like to see played and you want to give some parameters like maybe, I don't know, an up-tempo salsa number featuring, I don't know, whatever this is and some of these things, that would be great because I love a challenge and I think it's more fun if we can just, I don't know, mix it up. Don't take it too seriously. This is all just in good fun and just a chance to enjoy and have music and be weird. So while a few folks are joining, I'm going to play a little music to get us started, and you guys start thinking about your questions or comments or suggestions or dares.
Zuma. What are you doing here? No. This is my picture right here. This guy's picture. Oh.
Joe, have you muted yourself? You've muted yourself, Joe.
Does that sound okay? Yeah. All right, thank you so much. I assume you're applauding wildly at home on mute. Let me say a quick word about these instruments that I just played, and then jump in with your whatever. So this is a guitar, I guess, of sorts, made by taking a regular guitar and stripping it down to all its pieces, and then putting it back together with some other stuff. So instead of a neck, I use these familiar household objects: cane, hockey stick, broom, tennis racket. It's covered with these little wooden circles, just because I wanted to. And I also had kind of had it in mind for a while to cut a big hole in an instrument, just because it seemed like something you wouldn't want to do. Like from a structurally sound point of view, the last thing you would want is a giant hole in your instrument. And sometimes I follow ideas just because I think it's the opposite way you should go. So while everyone else thinks you shouldn't cut a hole in a guitar, I think, well, I wonder what's down that path. So this has a big hole in it. I've been into a few other instruments too. You can see here's a violin of sorts that also has a big hole in it. And the other thing I played, I've been calling it the double honkophone, but what it really is, I guess, is a double clarinet made out of things from the hardware store. So this is PVC pipe and automotive funnels, and it's just kind of arranged in a aesthetically pleasing way. But this is all just stuff from the clarinet, and it's got a low side and a high or middle side. So that's a duet, I guess, for broom guitar and double honkophone. All right, if anyone wants to unmute themselves and chime in with what should happen next, just go ahead and proceed in an orderly fashion as best you can.
I want to hear some sync.
Some sync, yeah, we got that. Thank you, whoever that was. Does anyone want to rise in? Does anyone want to rise in opposition? Does anyone oppose the sync?
I'm a huge fan of the shovel.
Shovel, okay. All right, so maybe we can do something for sync and shovel.
Maybe a little kalimba on skis.
Sync, shovel, and kalimba on skis. All right, let me tilt this so we can see my kitchen sink. And let's get the kalimba on skis. Whoever that was who just piped up knows the name of at least one thing. This is the kalimba on skis. Bring that into frame here.
Joe, I got a question for you, which is, do you ever play the double honkophone with a partner?
I haven't so far, but that's a really good idea. One of the very first things I ever made, it's fallen a little bit into disrepair, but I made a kalimba for 2 players, and I meant it to be played in Joshua Tree National Park, which is typically the only place this instrument is played. But this one has 2 separate opposing sound makers that 2 people can play, because I think that's really fun. And there is piano repertoire. There's like 4-hand piano repertoire written for 2 players to play at once, and I think that must be a lot of fun. So if someone else post-COVID wants to be the other half of a double honking duo, I'd love to have you. All right, bear with me, folks. We're almost there. Just gonna move one more thing. If you guys came here and thought there was not going to be a lot of jostling stuff around, you were really misinformed about what was going to happen. All right.
I fully expected jostling stuff around.
Yeah, stuff's going to get moved around, and I am too. Okay, so this is my kitchen sink. I realize it's not totally on screen here, but this is my kitchen sink, and all I did was make some modifications to make it more portable so I can bring it to shows. And it's got a couple of sound modifications in it. There's a couple little spots that I don't think I'll get the camera to, where a little C is cut out. And on a piece of wood that's sometimes called a tongue drum, that when 3 sides of a piece of wood are cut around, it allows it to vibrate with one end still stuck. So I've got a couple of tongues cut in here. And besides those things, this is a regular kitchen sink. So let's have a little music for kitchen sink and shovel and Kalimba on skis if possible. Okay, there you go. That's a little music for kitchen sink, shovel, and kalimba on skis. And don't be intimidated by whoever that was who knew the name of the instrument. You don't have to know the name. You can even suggest something that you don't see here that maybe you just suppose that I might have. That's fine too. Let me say a quick word about the things that we saw. So the kitchen sink is a kitchen sink, as I said. This is I've started calling it a guitar. I'm not totally sure it's a guitar. It could be like I don't know. It's missing some of the telltale clues. So it doesn't have 6 strings like a guitar does, although there are 4-string guitars. It's missing the extra 5th string like a banjo usually has, but I guess there are banjos without that. So I guess it's a guitar, but it's loosely a guitar. It's made from a shovel from Ace Hardware, and I guess the most salient feature is that you might see some other people play shovel guitars on social media, but they usually don't put a fretboard on it, which means that they can only play with a slide, which can be limiting if you're not an extremely skilled slide player. So mine has a little little bridge, like a little causeway on top, onto which frets are put, and that means that I can play it more like a regular guitar is played. And the kalimba on skis, I should not fail to mention the kalimba on skis. So there are 2 very similar instruments that have different names: the kalimba and the mbira from West Africa. And this is more like a kalimba than it is an mbira. You can Wikipedia that one if you want to know why. And it's on legs so that it can be freestanding and just kind of hang out on stage like this, and then be played when I want to. And this is an idea I really like, because otherwise these things just like clutter up the whole wherever I play. So if at least a few of them have their own stand built in, that's like a major design feature that I'm proud of. So this is a kalimba on skis.
Joe,
Yes. Hey, who's up?
it's Marvin. Did you have to cut the keys for that yourself, or like were they pre-sized of whatever you cut them out of?
Oh, hey, Marvin. So what the keys are made out of is a thing called fish tape, which you can get at the hardware store. And what it is it's a like little ribbon of steel, kind of like a tape measure, that's supposed to allow you to, like, if you're going to put a speaker or a light or something in your ceiling, and you need to fish a wire from one place through the ceiling to another, that's what it's made for. It's rigid but flexible steel, and it comes in big rolls. For like $20, you get a long roll of this thing. So I just take it out of the case, and I unspool it, and I clip lengths of it, and then put it kind of under pressure to see what pitch it makes. And then from there you can trim them. You can trim them to size. And if you're really savvy, you can take out the grinder or a Dremel tool and just round off the edges a little bit. And then with that, you've got a perfect key. Thank you for that question. Okay, who else is out there in Zoomland tonight who wants to say something about anything while I move a couple things around?
Hello.
Hey, is there
I
a...
want to say hi from all of us. Everybody say hi. Oh, hey.
Is that a party in
We're
Oakland,
all
Illinois?
listening.
Hey, party in Oakland, Illinois.
Hey, did you ever build an instrument and it was a total failure and you like threw it out?
Oh yeah. There have been lots of abject failures. Most of them are not in this room right now because I tried to corral more of the working ones in here. But yeah, there's a lot of abysmal failures, and also some half-baked ideas. So like here's a cello that I sawed in half before I had a plan. That's probably not a good use of a cello.
Oh, that poor cello.
Let's see. Here's a cane.
So out of all of your, sorry.
No, please. Let's not talk about my failures anyway.
Hey, it's Mike Reagan.
Hey, Mike Reagan, famed composer, Mike Reagan.
Out of all your instruments, which one is sonically your favorite?
Oh man, that's a really good question. Let's see. I think if I had to pick, just do a little housekeeping here. Here, let me do just the tiniest little bit of tuning on this because it's going to make the example better.
Okay.
All right, here's a cool one. Here's a cool one sonically. I call this the bric-a-brac banjo. So this had, this is one of those things where I took apart a couple of different things. So I took apart a banjo, and so I had the neck left over from it. This is a salad bowl. These are like salad forks, some canes, and then all the rest of the stuff, I don't know how well you guys can see at home, but this is all just like, this is like the detritus of everyday life. This is like all the stuff from people's like desk drawers at work, and like things that I find in the couch. This is all just like the leftover pieces of life that I put in here. And that's bric-a-brac as far as I'm concerned. But the sonic feature that's salient is this has a special kind of bridge that has a feature that in North India they call jawari, which is the little bit of a curve. It's a flat bridge with a little bit of a curve on the end that makes the strings buzz when the string is struck, and it kind of flaps against the curve.
And that's fretless, Joe?
What's that?
And it's fretless?
It's fretted, but it has pretty low frets because it's a banjo, which usually has pretty thin frets. So it allows a little more slide than you might think. If I play without sliding so much, you can hear more of the distinct frets. But especially in South Indian music, which is what I study with my teacher, they get away with playing fretted instruments by doing a lot of these really rapid slides over the frets, and you can make some of the bending sounds that are more native to Indian music. Anyway, so sonically that's pretty cool because I don't have many
That's very
instruments like
cool.
that, and this is typically something in Western instruments like guitars and banjos and violins. They're trying to get all the buzz out of the instruments, and in India they're trying to get more buzz in. So this is a cool thing.
That's wonderful,
Yeah, thanks for that. Maybe we'll just play a little bit on this
Sure.
so we get a little sense of it.
man. Yeah.
There you go. It's a little bric-a-brac banjo and some fake Indian music.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. That's very kind of you. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else out there want to see if there's anyone we've not greeted? Yeah, a lot of names out there I don't know. If you're a stranger and you've never encountered this before, why don't you take a turn and speak up, strangers out there? What do you make of this, and what ought we do next?
Hey there, Joe. My name's Lucas. Greetings from Tokyo.
Hey,
Currently
alright.
in Tokyo right now. I think someone in the chat, Haas, said something that kind of echoed a question I was curious about. Have you had? I apologize, I came a bit late, but do you have any plans for any just ridiculously sized instruments? You know, like drums you got to jump on, or you know, a cello the size of a treehouse, something ridiculous.
I like stuff like that because there's more. The bigger something is, the more room for intricacy there is. So, like for example, this is a larger than typical one for me. So here's one that's really big, but it gives a big canvas to work in. So this is another one that's like full of just the exhaust of life, keys and numbers and a toy horse and buttons and stuff. But so a big instrument allows for a big canvas, and that's pretty exciting to me. But on the other hand, I like to be able to go and play for people in the places they are in non-viral times. So it's also got to fit in the car. So everything that's big is also got to be small in some other dimension. So this is very big, but it's also very thin. So that's this one's saving grace, and like the sink can be collapsed into a flat pallet. So I guess I split the difference between those. Big for more canvas, small for transportability.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Anyone who's not in Tokyo want to chime in? And who's not? No more Tokyos till at least the next question.
Joe.
Or you can think about one while I put these reeds on. Yeah, hey. Who's out there?
It's Joe. What's that
Oh, hey.
white one against the wall over there?
Oh,
Behind you.
that one in the back there? Yeah, let's get that up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that an abject failure, just a minor failure. So yeah, we should take a look at that real quick. Let me just put this reed on here. Reed.
Joe, what was the worst injury you ever sustained while making an instrument?
Thankfully, there's been no bad injuries, but I did when I was making this one, I had a lot of factors computed, except for how low this saw blade would go on the instrument, and it turned out that saw blade was going to extend past the instrument out into this little curve here, which I could have been okay with, except that's the part where it's going to have to like sit on your lap if you're going to hold it. And so I felt like I couldn't tolerate that. So I ground off the saw blade with an angle grinder. And saw blades are like, its very purpose is a thing that's meant not to be ground down while spinning. Its very essence is to stay sharp while it's being, encountering material. So to grind that thing down with a grinder, a couple times I had like a moment of like what terrible choices have led me to this moment that are sending sparks raining through the sky like 20 feet in the air. Several times it really seemed like the wrong thing to do. So I was glad that ended safely. I wore safety goggles. That's
okay. Well,
all I
that's
can
the
say
least
about
you
that.
can do. Yeah. Thanks for that.
All right, so I will say this about these instruments: there's kind of a continuum with being super functional on one side and being very aesthetically adventurous on another side, and these all fall somewhere on that continuum. Some give up a little bit in aesthetics to make them more functional. This is one that gives up some functionality for aesthetics. So I kind of had a vision of one that really just looked like it was cobbled together out of things. So this has the usual suspects: salad spoons, tennis racket, pool cue, canes, and some more of this bric-a-brac on it. And Joe, you probably know this, but there's some instruments, like I'm thinking of some from China, that basically instead of having frets, they've got these raised, instead of having a fingerboard with frets on it, they've got these really raised, kind of like wave-like peaks that allow you to fret a note and then bend behind it. So I kind of had something in mind for this, and once upon a time, I was careful to arrange these in a way that kind of made a little tune I had in mind that I've since forgotten. And this one has turned out to be really hard to amplify. And as far as the live show goes, they kind of have to do something that an audience will tolerate in order to bring it to the show. So this one kind of has not cleared that bar yet. But it doesn't mean that it won't. So this is one that's just kind of like, I think it's waiting for its calling. It's certainly aesthetically very adventurous. Its musical purpose is still kind of a mystery. But there are a lot of late bloomers in this basement, and so it's just going to hang around until such time as it's called upon.
I guess you could say it's on its journey to doneness.
It's on its journey to doneness.
Thanks, Joe.
I couldn't possibly put it better myself. It's on its journey to doneness. Let's see. It's starting to get a little bit late in this thing. Not too late. But I do want to show you guys something brand new that I've never played for anyone before, and that I've basically never played before. And that could be risky, but you guys seem like nice folks, and I trust you won't judge me too harshly if it fails. This is something that I put together. I had some pieces in an art show a couple years ago and this one was like 80% done, and I really wanted to have a lot of pieces to show in the art show. And so I thought to myself, I bet if I hurry, I can get this thing done, and then it can be in the art show. So I got it along for the art show, but I wasn't totally happy with what it did musically. I thought it looked good for the art show, but I still had some questions about its functionality. So I kind of took it back down to 80%, and couldn't get it really any farther for a while. So once again, I think this one's like calling in life. This is like always the last kid in the van. This one's always like, wait, I'm almost ready. So once again, with this in mind, I thought, oh, I bet I could get that green and yellow trapezoid ready to play tonight, and I did. So I played it a little bit before the Zoom call started just to see if it worked, but I haven't actually played it basically at all. So if you don't mind, we'll all have the first taste of what this instrument is like. I think I don't know and you don't know, and maybe it doesn't know. So here's a little music for the triply unknown.
Bring it.
All right, not bad, little guy. Not bad at all. This instrument is made out of. This is one of those Frankenstein 2-into-1s. So this had been yet another banjo that was stripped totally down into every constituent part, and also an auto harp. This is a less common instrument nowadays, but they used to be popular folk instruments, especially because they could be learned very quickly. They had little buttons that played a full chord, and when you played the button, you could strum, and only the notes in that chord would ring, and the rest would be muted by a little mechanism under the button. So these are a popular way to accompany yourself singing if you were a folk singer maybe 60 years ago. So this is a very distinctly auto harp shape. So this is the auto harp body and a banjo neck, a couple of canes, and here's the part that I just finished yesterday, which is why I didn't get a chance to do the yellow dotting all over it. But it's kind of a turquoise color covered in yellow dots that give it a green look from even from this close. It kind of looks green to me. And one of the things this has that I'm working on is all these other keys here tune additional strings that I don't quite have set up the way I like them. But there are many instruments of the world that have a second set of strings whose only purpose is to resonate. They're not plucked by the plectrum or the fingers. They just resonate when you play some other note that give it kind of a reverby, sometimes haunting sound. So these guys are on their way. Maybe that's the part that still needs a little adjustment. Also, none of these things have names. So this is just like a green banjo. See how we doing out there?
Joe?
Yeah, hey, just pipe right up, whoever you are.
Is so to make those strings more like sympathetic strings so that they will harmonize and resonate, what would you do to that instrument to do that?
I think one of the things that helps a sympathetic string, that's what those things are called, is sympathetic strings. The instruments that do this really effectively, like the sitar and the sarod and the sarangi, they've got strings that are as long as the playing strings. So on a guitar, it makes a lot of sense to try and use whatever space you have left over for a sympathetic string. But I think they work a lot better when they're the same length, which means they can be the same gauge string. And on a sitar and a sarangi, these are instruments of North Indian classical music. The strings run right underneath the playing strings. So not only are they the same length and same size, but whatever physics are at work on the body, when the plucked string is plucked, the sympathetic one is being worked on in the same way. When you've got strings that are in different places, it's entirely possible that the physics, when this string vibrates, it's doing something to cancel out a string here. So there's a real challenge for me and for anyone else who wants to make new sympathetic string instruments is to try and abide by those pretty restrictive principles.
Okay.
Yeah, we got our work cut out for us on that one.
Yeah. Well, man.
Anyone else out there in the Zoom world want to say something? We're getting close to the hour mark, so we're gonna have to start winding down a little bit here.
What's your most ambitious? Is this working? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's your most ambitious project right now?
I've got something in mind. Basically, a bicycle wheel instrument, something like a guitar, and I've got the perfect bicycle wheel, and I've got a good plan for how the rest of it will be. But it is beyond my skill on the saw. I've got some skills on the skill saw, but I'm not a master craftsman. I'm more of a, I'm working with the materials I have the best I can. So I've got a really good idea, a good design in some of the pieces, but I lack the skills to execute it. So I'm looking into CNC routing, which basically where you can if you have a design file, you make a design file, and a computer will move routers and saws and will cut out your piece of wood or metal or whatever. So that's really encouraging to me. Once it occurred to me that CNC routing might solve that problem, it made me think of all the other things that I could do that I have good ideas for, but that are beyond my skill as a craftsman. And actually a lot of these things, so something like this, for example, that has all these like things sticking out of it, this was done by my own meager craftsmanship, but it makes me think that something like this, with the power of a CNC router or some other automation, something like this, you could have these spokes rating out, in every direction, in 3 foot or 4 foot or 5 foot lengths, and more intricate than this. So that's really exciting to me.
Dude, that would be next level. That's
and
awesome.
And I don't have any. For the most part, I don't have any personal rules about this stuff. So I don't have a secret code that says, well, you can't use CNC router because that's computer technology. I know a lot of people who are in the upcycle community. I'm thinking like of Bash the Trash, John Bertles in New York, who take discarded things, like literally they reclaim stuff and keep it out of landfills by making instruments out of it, which is awesome. And I love and respect those guys. But that's not what I do, because I both save stuff from the trash and I also destroy perfectly usable stuff if it makes the coolest art. So, and we get into some questions there about, I don't know, what is the value of something anyway. But this was a fine sink before I made it my musical instruments. I was not saving it from the landfill by using it. I just thought it would make good art. So as far as CNC routing or computers or anything like that, I don't have any secret code of ethics. It's all about interesting art, exciting moments, and whatever it takes to get there. And if it keeps stuff out of landfills, that's better, but it's not that's not what I swear by. Anyone else?
Sweet.
Anyone else? Or I'll play and we can get about our business.
It's amazing the collection that you've amassed, Joe. It's insane. Just the sheer amount of art that you have produced.
Yeah, it's starting to get. It's starting to make me wonder if a limit is going to be encountered pretty soon about how much stuff one can keep in their workshop.
When you have to move, then you're on the precipice.
Yeah, if this becomes the house for instruments and I have to live somewhere else, that'll probably be the end of it.
You just need to make your next house the instrument.
That's an idea, actually.
Yeah.
I've got to check with my local permitting board. I don't know what their restrictions are. I heard they're somewhat conservative when it comes to building code. They're real sticklers about certain things.
You can do anything in Indiana.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Can you do anything?
In the Indiana Bible, I think.
Yeah. Oh, we're coming to you here from we're in Munster, Indiana. If you're in this residence where I am. Yeah. So greetings from Indiana. Greetings out there to Tokyo and Tulsa and all points in between. All right, almost ready here. Cool. Yeah, we're getting about to the hour mark, so I think I'm gonna play you out. I want to thank you guys all so much for being here tonight. I've really missed having this in my life, playing for people and explaining about the thing I do and hearing people's feedback about it. Used to be such a regular part of my life, and I don't get nearly as much of it as I am suited for. So thank you so much for all taking time to be here tonight and be here together, and we should do it again sometime. And if people want to, I'm gonna cut the stream off after this. But if some people want to hang out and still chat about music or other stuff, I'm happy to hang out for a little bit. And if you need to split now or split soon, then split. And it's been awesome to see you. And so we can hang for a little bit if you want or not. You saw the double honkaphone. This is the triple honkaphone. So this is also a hardware store clarinet, just very, very intensely embellished. But at the end of the day, these are just tubes and funnels from the hardware store. And instead of double, this is a triple. So I'll play you a little music for a triple honkaphone. I'll wish you a good evening, and I'll maybe see a couple of you afterwards. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you.